Hey Dragons, I thought I'd make this quick video going over the number talk in case you were struggling with it at all or needed some explanation. So it's asking us to find the value of each of these pictures. So I have 3 pictures. They're just like variables, but instead of having letters, we're using pictures to represent different numbers. So it's kind of like a mystery. You have to figure out what each of these pictures represent. So I'm going to start with the 3 chicks at the bottom. They're all the same picture. So I have 1, 2, 3 chicks, and all of them together, if I added them, would equal 63. Well, I know that repeated addition is multiplication, so I'm going to have to use the inverse operation to solve it. So I'm going to have to do 63 divided into 3 equal parts because I have 3 chicks. So 63 divided by 3, I'm using the big 7. I know that 3 times 2 is 6, and so I know 3 times 20 is 60. So I'm going to use those to help me. I know 3 times 20 is 60, so I subtract that, and I'm left with 3. And 3 times 1 is 3, so I'm left with a remainder of 0. So I know now that each of those chicks is worth 21. So that's the value of the chicks. They're a variable, and so chicks equal 21. So 21 plus 21 plus 21 would equal 63. Now I'm going to move on to the picture of the decorative eggs or the colorful eggs. So again, these are the same pictures, so I know whatever my number is, they have to be the same. So I'm going to divide that into 2 equal parts, 154 into 2 equal parts because they're the same picture. So 154 divided by 2, and I'm going to use big 7 again. So I know that 2 times 7 is 14. So therefore I'll know that 2 times 70, that's 10 times greater, is 140. I know 2 times 1 is 2. I also know that 2 times 5 is 10. So those are just some familiar facts that I know. So I'm going to use 2 times 70 because that's going to get me the closest I can to 154, and I'm left with 14. So I know 2 can go into 14 7 times, and now I'm left with 77. So I know the value of each of those eggs, the decorative eggs, is worth 77. So 77 plus 77 is going to equal 154, and you can see in a second that I'm going to check my work with my repeated addition. So now we have figured out what the value of 2 of the pictures are. Now we need to figure out the value of the cracked egg. So I know that the value of the decorative egg is 77 and the chick is 21. So I have 2 chicks, so I'm going to put 21 twice. And I still don't know what the value of the cracked egg is, but I know altogether it's going to equal 150. So I'm going to start by adding what I know. So 77 plus 21 plus 21. And I get 119. So now I'm going to take that 119 and I need to subtract it from 150 so I can figure out what the value of that cracked egg is. So 150 minus 119, I can't do 0, take away 9, so I'm going to have to regroup from the tens place. So I have 4 and then 10, so 10 minus 9 is 1, 4 minus 1 is 3, so 31. So I know the value of the cracked egg is now 31. If I was to add all those numbers together, 77 plus 21 plus 21 plus 31, I should get 150. To answer the question, can we find the value of each picture? We can. The value of the decorative egg is 77, the value of the chick is 21, and the value of the cracked egg is 31. Moving on to number talk number 2, we have an input-output table. So we are trying to figure out how do we get from the input of 12 to the output of 24. So what operation can I use? I know it's getting bigger, so I can use addition or multiplication. I know a multiplication fact that could get me there. I could do times 2. because I know 12 times 2 is 24. So I need to make sure that this makes sense for all my other problems. So the doubling rule, we're going to use the rule times 2. So I'm going to put times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2. So when I'm going from my input to output, I'm multiplying by 2. So the next thing we have to figure out is what 15 times 2 is, because that's what one of our question marks is. I know that multiplication is just repeated addition, so I could add 15 twice, and 15 plus 15 is 30, so I know that that question mark equals 30. We have one more question mark we need to solve for, but instead of going from input to output, now we have the output and we're going to our input, so we have to divide by 2, because that's the inverse operation. So I have to figure out what 48 divided by 2 is, and I'm going to use Big 7 to help me out with that. Alright, so I have to build an army of known facts. So I have 2 times 2 is 4, so I know that 2 times 20 is 40. I see 2 times 4 is 8, so I'm going to use those to help me out. 2 times 20 is 40, so I subtract that and I'm left with 8. And then 2 times 4 is 8, and I subtract that and I'm left with 0. So I know that 24 plus 24 is 48. So my input's 24 and my output's 48.